Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to the Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. I'm pointing down because it's in the description below. The direct service purchase and pricing question line from you to me and my hand-picked crew with your questions about this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews. That's tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a current catalog, Breitling Navitimer 1 B01 Chronograph 43. It's a mouthful. What you need to know is this is the in-house caliber latest edition 43mm steel Navitimer. A timepiece that dates back to 1954. I do believe 54 is the year of origin, not Breitling's claim of 52. It is one of the great watches of all time. The icon of the Breitling manufacturer, the way the Moonwatch is Omega, the Nautilus is Patek, and the Royal Oak is AP. This is an all-timer, and if you can own just one Breitling, this should be it. Now the watch is 43mm in stainless steel, and as you can see, it looks thicker than it is. 14.2mm thick, so it'll slide underneath the jacket cuff, just not necessarily the tightest dress sleeves. A lug-to-lug, it's more compact than I expected. 49mm. Georges Kern has said he wants to cut down the lug spacing of Breitling watches to make the lug-to-lug more manageable on smaller wrists, and the new CEO is getting his way. The spacing between the lugs, however, is 22mm, giving the watch a nice broad footing and a planted stance on the wrist. Speaking of wrists, let's take a look on my 16cm circumference wrist. As you can see, the watch is comfortable. It is broad, but not too broad. And because it's only 49 lug-to-lug, I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14cm circumference. For the best aesthetics, I would recommend 16cm or above, but it'll sit securely on 14. And as you can see, again, low enough for a jacket cuff, just not the tightest dress sleeves. Let's jump back to look at the accessories and take a quick gander at the calfskin strap. Breitling straps have always been more substantial than you'd expect given the price point, and this strap is no exception. Thick cut calfskin with a contrasting white stitch. You can see sheer-sided construction showing the layers of leather. It's a natural calfskin on the underside. It is buttery too. It has a wonderful feel. You'll note that there's a crimping system used to size this so there are no perforations. So these straps tend to last a long time because they don't gouge the way regular perforated straps do. The buckle is of high polish, and I said it was a minderless system. I do mean that. The strap itself actually tucks into and under the clasp, so once it's sized up, there's no excess length visible externally, and there are no minder loops on the strap, so it's a very clean look when strapped down. The case band is simple and traditional. A lot of vintage watches feature narrow mid cases, and the Navitimer, as with the Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch, has carried on that tradition, as Breitling has been smart not to mess with the basic aesthetics of its icon. All of high polish, you can see there's a squared off vintage inspired end and a minimal bevel. The knurling is deep and sharp and a pleasure to grip. As you can see, the recesses themselves are a satin finish, but then the outer face is all of high polish. The crystal covers let me remove my fingerprints here. The crystal covers a dial that is classical inverse panda, and it's also upscale. As you can see, the tone-on-tone is the new language to communicate in-house calibers. When you see registers a different color than the dial, you know you're looking at an in-house movement with Breitling. You got a red varnished chronograph seconds hand. You've got a chronograph minute and hour dial, and then you have the circular slide rule bezel, which you can see gives the watch exceptional depth from the dial up to the bezel. It is used for multiplication and division principally, and it is quite quick once you get a handle on it. By the way, this kind of calculation using a slide rule, a circular slide rule, is still taught in military aviation schools. Now the watch features a monotone black date disc with a quick set system. You can see there is a quick set, so you can rapidly change the date should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. There is also a stop seconds function. See how I've hacked the seconds here? The new 2019 forward Breitling B logo without the wings, and plenty of loom. Also note the applique indices rather than printed. The dial has an upscale ambiance and specification. Turn it all over, and more common than they used to be, display casebacks are making inroads at Breitling, and it's a good thing because the caliber B01 in-house chronometer chronograph looks great. Polished chronograph column wheel, levers, and horns. You can see there are Côte de Genève across the bridges and black polished screw heads with a satin finish on the mass. Automatic winding, it features a 70-hour power reserve, 5-position adjustment, a COSC chronometer certification, 28,800 vibration per hour beat rate, stop seconds, and a quick set date. All of this pivoting on 40 27 joules. It's a good looking movement. 30 meters water resistant. It's an aviation watch, so it's not designed for swimming. And of course it features both a column wheel for crisp actuation and a vertical clutch for smooth starting and stopping. And I will say, not only can you start it and stop it smoothly, but with the vertical clutch you can leave the chronograph running if you want to have center minutes, hours, and seconds and just read them all together and ignore the rest of the chronograph functions. The timepiece is truly impressive in every regard, and again, nicely sized for a 43. It'll fit on even small wrists. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details about this in-house caliber Breitling Navitimer. Back with the Navitimer, I should mention one feature of this watch. The column wheel feel is as good under the finger as Lange, Zenith, and Rolex. It's truly industry standard column wheel pusher feel.